very special conversation about our movement to win unions for every single worker in this country. We are not going to stop until we win unions for all. Unions for every woman, unions for every man, unions for every worker in this country. I am April Verrett, and I'm proud and honored to wear two hats in our union. I am the proud president of SEIU Local 2015. Representing 400,000 home care and nursing home workers across the state of California. And I am delighted to be able to announce for like the first time in public, I am the newly elected International Secretary Treasurer of representing the 2 million hardworking, dedicated, kick-ass, and I'm gonna not cuss too much tonight, I promise. But I gotta say it, badass, kick-ass members of our union. And workers across the country are organizing and mobilizing to win their unions and build power together in ways that we have not seen in decades. We are gonna take that same energy into the midterm elections to make sure, alongside Unions for All, we build a government that works for all. How about that? Because we know that winning takes planning. That's why we are registering to vote. We are making a plan to vote early, and we are getting ready to elect progressive champions up and down the ballot in November who are going to stand with us to ensure unions for all. Because our demands are clear and we are focused on making sure we are respected, we are protected, and we are paid. Ain't that right? We are all in this together. We are uniting in our fights, and we are not going to be divided. Today, I am joined by this awesome panel of women. This awesome panel of women leaders who have been fighting across this country to make sure we win justice for all of us. All these women from right here in Georgia. Am I right? So first, I want to introduce Tundi Hector. Tundi Hector. Tundi is a home care worker, has been a home care worker for over 25 years, and she believes that every home care worker should be part of a union. Give it up for her. And to my right, we have Yvonne Charlotte Bryant. Yvonne is a leader within her union, is politically active and passionate about voting. She works in dispatch for ABM at Hartsfield's Jackson Atlanta International Airport. Give it up for Yvonne. And so super excited that Amanda Rivera is on the panel tonight. Amanda is a part of a growing movement to organize Starbucks workers across the country. Yeah. She is fighting to win her union at Starbucks because after 10 years of working there, she still needs a second job to get by. And of course, we have Cherie Holloway. Cherie is a home care worker and domestic worker organizer. Cherie has left her job as a medical aide at a correctional facility because of the lack of proper protections at the start of the pandemic. And I know many of you all who work in home care know what it was like in the pandemic, because we did not have the protection that we needed, did we not? And of course, last but definitely not least, our very special guest, Nguyen, who is running for Secretary of State right here in Georgia. Give it up for B. Made history when win elected office in the Georgia General Assembly. And the seat that she occupies was formerly held by somebody else who I think you all know. I call her the next governor of Georgia. The next governor of Georgia, the one and the only Stacey Abrams. Yeah. I know that Stacey really wanted to be here with us tonight, but as you all may know, she learned earlier this week that she has contracted COVID, so she could not be here today. Like so many of us, we know with dealing with COVID, what that means for us and our families. So we want to keep Stacey centered in our hearts and in our prayers. But she didn't want to not show up at all. So I think we have a special word from her. Let's see what we can see. I think we have a special word from her. Come on, let's chant her in. Stacey, 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 Stacey. Where is she? I don't know. Let's make her We're patient. We can wait. So while we're waiting for Stacey, how many of you all canvassed today? Did you all get a chance to talk to voters? Somebody stand up and tell me what your conversation was like. Now, I know y'all not shy.
I'm not shy. Yes, I had a wonderful conversation about young men who need to get out and vote, that their rights not restored, get the rights restored.
Okay.
And actually be able to get to the polls. If they said they're not able to vote, make sure you send your girlfriend so you have to protect your baby.
That's right.
Out for the future.
Thank you. That's right. Who else? What else did you want to tell us today? Right out here up front.
We had so many voters that we were able to contact that were all about Stacey. All about this way, right?
That's what's up. Yes, sister?
I was in a negative neighborhood.
Oh.
Yeah. So you know what I did?
What you do?
Well, we were canvassing careless, wrong neighborhood. We were in Trumpville. But anyways, I just put those mailers in the mailboxes. We just took our negative comments and have a good day.
But see, here's the thing. Here's the thing that I will say about that neighborhood. It may have been negative today, but we should not stop talking to every single voter. We need to continue to tell our stories, talk about our issues, because we may be able to flip folks, right? And so it may be negative today, but we have the power within us. When we tell our stories, we can change people's minds, right? We can change people's lives. And so let's do that.
Hello to everyone.
Oh, there she is.
My COVID quarantine, but I could not miss this opportunity to wear my SEIU colors and say hello and thank you to each and every one of you. We are in an important moment as we head towards these elections 87 days from now. The reports of our demise have been greatly exaggerated. We have seen progress made, we have seen lives upended, but also we have seen power rise. We have the opportunity to lift up our voices and to change the future. In the state of Georgia, we have a governor's race, we have a Senate race, and across this country, we are fighting for our very democracy. But it's not just about casting a ballot, it's about setting the choices that we want to make and creating the kind of world we deserve to live in. I know that workers, that the union stands for more than simply ensuring good access to pay. It is about the quality of life that we are allowed to have. And I am just so grateful for the work that you do every single day. the work that you do that people see and the work you do that people know nothing about. In the next 87 days, we have the chance to tell people that we continue to rise, that we have the right to thrive, even if we are sick, that our sick days are not our only days, and that if we push together, we can overcome not an enthusiasm gap, but a trust gap. It is not that people don't want better, it's they don't know they deserve better or they can have better. But I'm counting on each and every one of you to show them who we are and who we can be. And while I'm incredibly sad that I can't be with you in person, just know I am always with you in spirit, and I'll be back on the campaign trail soon. Thank you so much for who you are, what you do, and let's go get it done.
So B, these folks want to hear from you. Tell us about yourself. Introduce yourself.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me tonight. I had the pleasure and honor of meeting some of you this morning, and y'all's energy was off the charts. My name is Nguyen. I am the proud Democratic nominee for Georgia Secretary of State. Who ran for election when Stacey first stepped up to run for governor in 2017, and so I hold the seat that she previously held, and I tell her all the time, most of the time nobody cares about a state rep, but then I added, that is the seat that Stacey Abrams used to hold, and that's my street cred. But I'm also a member of IBEW Local 13, and my very first job that I had growing up was as a grocery store worker when I was 15, working at Winn-Dixie, pushing grocery carts in the hot Georgia sun, and I probably weighed 90 pounds soaking wet.
You still do.
And today I was thinking about that moment because when I was 15, it was, 1997, and I thought minimum wage was $5.15 an hour in the state of Georgia, and it has not changed. It hasn't changed. And we are one of the few states where minimum wage doesn't keep up with our federal minimum wage, which should also change.
That's right.
And I spent the majority of my adult life after I was working in a grocery store. I sold shoes, and then I worked in the restaurant industry. I was waiting tables, making $2.13 an hour, working double shifts, living not paycheck to paycheck, but shift to shift, and making sure that I could make enough tips to just pay my basic needs. And in the restaurant industry, we also know that if you get sick, too bad. If you need to have a day off, you've got to find somebody to pick up your shift. And so all of those things instilled in me this very deep belief that part of our job as elected officials is to fight for workers. And that we can change the narrative around what Georgia can be. We always hear we're the #1 place for business, but we never hear we're the #1 place for workers, because we're not. And we don't strive to be. Those in elected office do not strive to be. But we owe it to workers because workers are essential to our state. We would not be the #1 state for business without workers, but also everybody deserves to live in dignity and humanity. And part of our duty is to ensure that we have economic justice and that we do not have to make the case that y'all should have not just livable wage, not just health care, not just protections in the workplace, but you have the full ability to live as a human being with dignity in the state of Georgia and not prioritizing corporations over people. And so that's why I'm a member of a labor union. I know that organizing is the strongest tool that we have in the state of Georgia because we're a right to work state. And I know that the many gains have been because of you all. And we need to change it because our elected officials need to have the backs of workers.
That's right. That's right. Thank you so much. all, but I am ready to do every single thing that I can to make sure we not just elect Stacey Abrams to be governor, but we elect Nguyen to be the next Secretary of State in Georgia. Because we need people who understand our struggle and who share our vision for a world where we can all not just survive, but thrive. And I know all of you all are here today because you believe in the power of people coming together. That's right. What we can achieve when we build power in our unions and when we turn out the vote, there is power in taking collective action, right? So you all know that I'm the president of a local, and now I'm the secretary treasurer of our national union. I'm gonna keep saying it because it's like dang, right? But what I really am, what I have been for the last 21 years, is an organizer. And I am an organizer that has spent my career believing in the power of when workers come together. And as an organizer, what I have learned about power, what I have seen in the eyes of workers like Vivian Denniston and Kim Ballin and Martha Varadaris, is what they learn about themselves when they realize their power. The power that is within them is the same power that is within each and every single one of you and every single worker in this country. That we have personal power. And when we learn how to use it, there is no stopping us. There is nothing we can't achieve. But the really special thing about realizing your own power is when you come to know and believe, when you put that power together with people like Amanda and Tundi and Bee and Yvonne and Cherie. We all realize our own collective power, but that power is even greater when we put it with somebody else who believes what we believe. When we make a choice that we want to be parts of organizations that is about our collective power. When I'm fighting for you, when you are fighting for me, and we are fighting together for all of us. That is the power of union, sisters and brothers. That is the power that we are fighting to build in this country. Amazing, powerful thing, and I'm just blessed that I get to spend my life doing that work. So Yvonne, I want to ask you, what do you know about power? I know that you are a part of your union at work. You are passionate about voting rights. You even helped elect Mayor Dinkins to be mayor right here in Atlanta. So tell us your story and why you are here to demand unions for all.
Yes, I started out in 2019 working for ABM at the Delta headquarters right on off of Virginia Avenue. When I was hired, I had to go to a new hire orientation. And during that orientation, there were 2 people from SEIU there to recruit people to join the SEIU union. They told us about it. I asked questions, and I thought, this would be great for me to join. I said, I would love to join this group because I am a person who likes to help people, you know. And they asked us, if you want to become a leader within the union, put a star at the top of your card. So that's what I did. Thank you. So not long after that, I got a call from someone in the union asking me if I was interested in going to the summer school that they have every year. And that summer school teaches you how to be a leader, how to read your contracts, how to write grievances, and all of that. And we also had a lot of fun there as well. So I really enjoyed the summer school, and I'm loving everything that I do within the union. I just love being a part of a huge group that has the same interests that I do.
All right, that's what's up. So look, I want to take the time, everybody on your chair, you got a form. We might not have a card out there, but pull out your form and fill that out. If you believe the power and the power of coming together to build collectively, to make our world better, put a star at the top of your form and fill it out. Because we have to continue to do the work, right? It's not just about coming to this town hall and listening to one another. It's about doing the work like you all started to do this morning. So don't leave until you fill out the form, put a star on it, and turn it in so that we can keep moving the work forward. So thank you, Yvonne, for sharing your story. B, I want to go to you next. I know that voting rights, right, so much we know has been focused right here on Georgia because we've seen the vote stolen from our people and we've seen them try to negate an entire election. But what you all have led here in Georgia has been amazing, right? And voting rights is at the center of your agenda for working people in this state. Tell us about why you are so passionate about voting rights.
So I'm the daughter of immigrants, Vietnamese refugees who fled their country in the late 70s. And before my parents made it over here, my dad was incarcerated by his own government. And then when he was released, they fled in the middle of the night on foot for basic civil liberties like free speech, like the right to assemble, the right to criticize your government and demand better for the people, and the right to free and fair elections. So when I was growing up in Augusta, my parents did not talk about political participation or community participation. They were scared. They said, keep your head down, stay out of trouble, don't make any waves, you better make straight A's and become a doctor or a lawyer. And I said, well, I'm watching these two people who are heroes in my eyes, the two people that I love the most who made a very courageous decision to leave their country just for the possibility of a better life. And specifically with my mother, I watched her make herself smaller. So when I would go to the grocery store as a kid, she would shrink back and I would step up and I would be her translator even though she can speak English just with a heavy accent. I watched when she tried to navigate in this new foreign language to her, people look past her, look over her, ignore her altogether. So I knew I wanted to do something different with my life. And it was all tied to this idea that I never wanted to see people feel powerless in the same way that I watched my parents feel powerless, and especially my mother. And so I ended up working in our public school systems in Atlanta and DeKalb for 10 years, where I saw our lawmakers defund public education. And one school I worked in when I first entered in, they only had a 42% graduation rate. And I think this is kind of what we all in here have in common, is the desire to help other people, right? It's the desire to say, what can I give to help this other person? And it became very clear to me after being in the public school system for those years that I had to get involved on the policy side, on the electoral side, and that we had to empower people to wield that sacred, most fundamental right to vote. It's the one equalizer we have. One person, one vote. Doesn't matter how much money you make, doesn't matter who you are. When you go to that voting booth, your vote is the same as the white man who makes more money than everybody else. It's exactly the same. And that's why they want to take away the right to vote. That's why they want to make it harder for Georgians to vote, specifically Black and brown Georgians, specifically working Georgians, younger Georgians, those who want to change the power structure at hand, because that is our most powerful weapon. Because when we go to the ballot box, there's nothing they can do to change the fact that their one vote is the same as our one vote. So they passed legislation to say, you know what, we are going to chop away at the ability to vote by mail. We're going to take those secure drop boxes that help seniors and people with disabilities and people with long working hours who cannot go during the day to drop off your drop box, took that away. They said, you know what, we're going to also intimidate y'all and make it a crime to hand out a bottle of water to a voter waiting in line in a state like Georgia as recent as 2020, where Black voters waited 2 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours, 11 hours. They believe that voter resiliency is something that Black and brown people have to endure, and that is not right. And so I am running to make sure that every eligible Georgian can vote, and we remove the barriers, and we get rid of a Secretary of State who is okay with putting the thumb on the scale on the front end, because they do not want us to leverage our power.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you. And we are no longer okay with giving up our power.
Yes.
Are we not? We are no longer okay of giving up our power. And I just want to point something else out. B is the daughter of immigrants. And when she told her mother's story, it made me think of my grandmother, who was born in Mississippi, not very far from here, right, in the Jim Crow South, who moved to Chicago so that she could have a better life and so my dad could have a better life, who learned that she did not have to sit back and shrink herself, right, the way that B's mom felt that she did. And when we remember that our fights are the same fights, that our journey to justice and freedom is the same journey to justice and freedom, the power that we can hold in that truth when we stand together, right? And so let us remember that our fights are linked and that we are the same people fighting for the same goal. Yeah. So Cindy, we know that you are from a union, that your family, is passionate about voting rights too. You've been a home care worker for over 25 years. And we were just talking about the gift that home care and being a home care worker brings to the lives of so many workers across the country like you. It's an incredible commitment to your community. But you and I both know that the work you do and that workers like you are often not respected, you aren't protected, you damn sure ain't paid as you should be. So what would it mean for you to have a union?
I'm Tandy, and but to have a union would be a contract. It would mean that we would have an opportunity to be inclusive and a living wage. You know, I worked for so many years. My credentials, CNA, I kept working because I wasn't making any money. So I wanted to get more education. So I got an associate's, and then I went on and got my bachelor's, but I'm still doing home care. I'm still taking care of people because that's who I am, the gift. And that's what God gave me. And you know, the gift of taking care of people, it should be rewarded. It should be rewarded. I always felt like, I said, you know, I love taking care of people, but I don't make enough. And you know, I thank God I had a husband, you know, who drove trucks, and we were able to work together. But having a union will give all home care workers across this country the security that they need to understand I can have some health insurance, I can have dental insurance, I can have a living wage, I can have what I need to sustain my family, to sustain my kids, be able to send them to college, and not feel like the wolf on your back, you know, every day running, trying to figure out how you're gonna make money to feed your family, how you're gonna make money to put gas in your car, how you're gonna make money to pay your light bill, you know.
Hold your mic up a little.
I'm sorry.
Good stuff, I gotta hear.
But I'm just saying, you know, having that type of mentality, it gave me the drive, and now I concentrate a lot on voter rights because I did learn from an early age how to vote. My parents took it upon themselves. My grandfather, you know, protested to integrate Georgia. My dad went to jail with him. They taught me that, and that's something that I took and I gave it to my kids. And I've learned from all of my patients. One of my patients specifically told me, he said, Tandy, never live with regret. And I lived my life without regret. So I'm a little off script, but I'm not gonna regret saying what I gotta say because we gotta be out here fighting for one another because the world is going through it. And if it's incumbent of all of us, and that's why I fought for you, and that's why I fight this fight. Home care is what we need. Home care can take care of this country. We take care of the country. It may not be our own, because sometimes we go to work and we're not even able to come home and take care of our own kids because we had somebody that we took care of all day. My patient's son told me, he said, Tunde, you my right hand. I don't know what I'm gonna do without you. That was heavy on me.
Yeah.
you know, because I knew he needed me, but I knew I had to progress forward. I knew I was going to progress forward. But the union probably would give more people the drive to say, you know what, I got this institution behind me, I can make it, because we do fight together. We do win. I started with this group. A friend of mine, she's a home care worker, and we started with Fight for 15, and I said, I like them. I don't want to go where they go. And here, 2022, I'm still doing it because it's a passion. Because we fight together, we stand together. We're so interwoven now, our lives are together.
That's right.
So, you know, we fight together.
That's right. We fight together. Look, home care workers have been fighting for the last 2 years to win a federal investment in care. And we came so close, sisters and brothers, right? So close. But here's the thing. We may be a little disappointed. But what I know is the resiliency of home care workers. We are not going to give up this fight, are we, Rona? We are not going to give up this fight. And we are going to make sure that every home care worker who is called to do this work, who centers your life in love and joy and taking care of others, that work will be rewarded and valued as it deserves to be in this country. And we are not going to stop until we show them who we are, what we are made of, and they finally see us for who we are and what we are made of, and that we are enough, just like we are. Just like we are. We are enough, and our work is enough, and our work deserves the respect that it garners just on its own. And we're going to make this country one that centers love and joy and caring for people. When I listen to and reflect on stories like Tundi's and others of what it means to be recognized for your hard work, I think about a lot of us who spend years and years as our jobs making these big corporations more money than anyone deserves to make on their own. But workers don't really reap the benefits of our labor. Amanda, you've worked at Starbucks for 10 years. I know we all support the Starbucks workers. They are giving us so much inspiration. And Amanda, thank you for helping to lead that fight. Tell us more about the work you've been doing with your coworkers.
The work I've been doing with my coworkers is the work we really have been needing to do. And thankfully, the time is right for this kind of movement. I knew that in 2012, when I first started working for Starbucks, that it just didn't seem to add up. We're making so much money. We're doing so much work. But why am I not able to pay my bills? Why are my coworkers telling me that they're going to apply for food stamps? Because we're just not making enough money to buy food. You know, I mean, living paycheck to paycheck. We're working multiple jobs. I only have one other job, so, you know, that's pretty good. Some of my coworkers have 2 other jobs just to pay the bills. Living with roommates, you know. It's just, when a company makes $6 billion during a pandemic, and the workers are applying for food stamps, it just, I'm sorry, make it make sense, you know? And I really didn't think this was gonna happen. I really was skeptical because there's so much union busting, there's so much anti-union rhetoric being thrown around, just like it's nothing, you know? But I was so lucky that my coworkers knew what we were fighting for, and they were down to do the hard work, and that's what we're doing right now. The vote, that was hard to get all the numbers, but now is the real fight to try and get Starbucks to come to the table and negotiate in good faith. I mean, we're not asking for everything. We're just asking for a living wage. I'm asking for respect and dignity. I really want to show other people working in, restaurants or the food industry or healthcare, any industry, anywhere there are workers, that this is possible and that together we are stronger, and that's what they don't want. They don't want us to work together. So by just putting, all of our resources together, we can make them do what they should be doing. Starbucks shouldn't be using benefits as a marketing ploy. It shouldn't say, oh, well, our partners get health insurance and all these benefits. I can't afford to go to the doctor. I can with my second job, but not with what I make at Starbucks. You get a raise, your hours get cut. So instead of the 30 hours minimum I need a week to pay the bills, I'm working 21. I get a pay raise, great. I am only down to 18 hours a week, and it's go to another store, find somewhere else to pick up hours. And for me, that would be all right because I have a car, but some of my coworkers are taking public transit, they're walking, they're doing what they can to get by. And, our former CEO was given $300 million in stock when he left and $60 million payout when he left the company. So you can't tell me there's no money for the people that are working hard for you every single day. And giving the people the experience that you expect from Starbucks,
Yeah, look, Amanda, thank you. Workers have to walk through fire over broken glass to win their unions. Corporations have to be held accountable. They have to be called out for their ridiculous behavior and the way that they scare, harass, and intimidate workers who simply want to exercise their right to come together and build power with their coworkers. And a part of our Unions for All movement is about calling those corporations out for their bad behavior. Corporations have got to be accountable to workers. That's one of the reasons who we vote for is so important, because we need to elect leaders who are going to stand with us and make sure that workers are respected, protected, and paid. And when you spoke earlier, B, you talked about Georgia not just needing to be a state where corporations thrive, but it must be a state where workers thrive as well. How do you think elected leaders should show up for workers here in Georgia?
I think that it's incumbent upon elected leaders to, one, do their job, right? And pass legislation to support workers. So we talked a little bit about this, the minimum wage remaining unchanged. We also have a law on the books in the state of Georgia that preempts any city or county from raising minimum wage if they so choose to. That should get off the books. We have a governor who has failed to expand Medicaid, and this should anger all of us. He has spent $30 million blocking access to health care. Why not just spend that $30 million and give people health care? Nobody should have to die. Nobody should have to go bankrupt. Nobody should have to wait to go to see a doctor.
That's right.
It is immoral, the current governor, what he has done. We have wasted a decade where over 500,000 Georgians could have access to health insurance. And for what reason? There is no reason.
Politics.
Why? Because it was called Obamacare?
That's
Is
right.
that why? I mean, it is cruel. So, one among many reasons, we got to get that guy out and get Stacey Abrams in, because she will prioritize healthcare. We've got to pass legislation to make sure we're protecting workers in the workplace. As a lawmaker, I introduced a bill to prohibit sexual harassment in the workplace. We're one of the few states who doesn't have that on the books, and there's no civil protection. So if you sue a corporation or a business who should have known that sexual harassment is taking place in the workplace, You have no ability to do it in the state of Georgia unless you go through federal law. And they chose not to pass that legislation. Why would we not want to protect workers from being harassed in the workplace? And the sooner we realize that this is also an investment in our state, right? Making sure that workers work in dignity, that they have livable wages, they have access to healthcare, affordable housing, public transportation, healthy foods. As soon as we make those investments, we will all be better for it.
That's right.
Yeah. So this is about building one Georgia that works for everybody. And then I gotta make this little plug. So as an elected official, I joined IBW Local 613 after the Supreme Court handed down the Ask Me decision. And I thought, I should just put my money where my mouth is.
That's right.
And pay into a labor union. So elected officials out there, join a labor union, put your money where your mouth is, pay the dues, and show up for workers.
That's what's up. So this next question is going to be for you, Cherie. We're going to get you in this conversation. I think you know what we talk about when we say respect us, protect us, and pay us. We mean it for bosses and for our elected representatives. It is time for workers to have what we need to stay safe on the job. Cherie, you had to leave your job at the beginning of the pandemic because you didn't feel safe. What does it mean for you as a caregiver to feel safe?
Let me say first that I've been a family caregiver for 26 years for my daughter Victoria, and I've also had to work outside of the house for 18 years working with elderly and with dementia and Alzheimer's. For me, that meant I lost health care benefits, I lost 401k, I lost, and my income decreased. I recently went and tried to apply for Georgia Medicaid. They denied me. They told me that I make too much money. I said, wow. So that, to me, that's why it's so important that we do get out and vote for, because now is the time that we vote for Stacey Abrams as our governor and B. Nguyen as our state secretary. And I believe that Georgia can have a change. I believe that we can change. I believe that there could be policy changes, and I just believe that if everyone get out and vote, and we get out and encourage our family and friends to vote as well, I think with the organization like Care in Action, SEIU, I think all of us together, we all have the power to make this movement for Black people, workers, women of color to it's time. It's time. Now is the time. Georgia has been lacking for far too long, and for Georgia to deny me, I worked 2 jobs to make ends meet, and that's still not enough. I can't even afford to get sick. I cannot afford to go to the doctor. It's time for a union. It's time to gather in numbers and make this movement happen. Vote for the right governor and the right Secretary of State. It's time, and we talk about voting for the presidential election, but voting for the state and local elections are more important. That affects our everyday living. that affects our everyday living. It's time for us to make a change. It's time for it to be a change. And it's up to us. It's up to us to vote and get all our family, friends, get your friends, give them a ride, whoever needs a ride. Let's get to the polls and vote.
Yeah, thank you, Cherie. It is absolutely time. It is beyond time. It is past time for unions for all, for voting rights for all. It's time to elect Stacey Abrams as governor. It is time to elect Nguyen as Secretary of State. And I have all the hope in the world that we are going to get it done this year. And so I just want to, we have one more question, and I'm going to start with you, Amanda. What gives you hope in this moment? What keeps you moving?
All of you. The support, seeing people like Bee and Stacey on the ballot, you know, people that represent what Georgia looks like, you know? Just the representation, the care, because I know that we all care about each other, we all want the best for each other, and that is what is gonna make us successful. And so I have so much hope in our movement, and all of us, really.
Yeah, that's right. Cindy, what gives you hope?
What gives me hope is this election coming. I know it's gonna mean a change for the people of Georgia. It gives me hope that you are on the ballot. It gives me hope that Stacey's on the ballot. And it lets me know that there are women out there who have been down and seen the struggle of regular people. And they're not too far from it, and that we're gonna make it. So I know we can do that.
Cherie, what gives you hope?
What gives me hope is we have an opportunity to vote. We have an opportunity to change the state of Georgia. To change the state of Georgia with this progressing city, Atlanta itself, so that they can pay the wages that its citizens want them to pay, and also to give us dignity and respect.
And Yvonne, what gives you hope?
What really gives me hope is that I see now that we have more of a diversity of women running for these different offices. And that gives me the hope also that we have these people out here coming together as a collective group to fight. And we have these diversity women that's running for these different offices that's gonna back us.
That's right. And Dee, what gives you hope?
Well, being here with all of you, both this morning and tonight, give me tremendous hope, because it reminds me that power is rooted in people and community, right? And it is our everyday actions that continue to build the power and the change that we are seeking. And I know it can be hard to feel hopeful. I know I struggle with all the things that are happening in our world, all the problems that we're facing. And I remember a few weeks ago, I thought, man, every week the Supreme Court is really bringing me down. I was like, how am I supposed to inspire others and mobilize others? And I saw this clip of Reverend Warnock, and he said, who am I to be pessimistic in this moment? He said, I remember our beloved late Congressman John Lewis and his march when he was 19 on that Edmund Pettus Bridge, his head bashed in. He didn't give up. He knew it was a lifelong commitment to justice. And he dedicated his entire life. And I think about how much we need him in this moment, and I think of his words telling us that we must march on, we must get into some good trouble, that our right to vote is the most powerful nonviolent weapon. And then I think of my parents who left their country over 40 years ago and got in a boat thinking they were going to die just for the possibility of a better life. And I think, who am I to be pessimistic in this moment?
Yeah, that's right. And so I made a little friend earlier, and I don't know if she's still in the room. I saw her back there, but it is Lois. And I don't know if Lois is in the room, but she's 7 years old. And she's the youngest Georgian, probably, that's in the room today. And what gives me hope is that I get to be a Black woman leading in our labor movement, to elect a Black woman to be the governor of Georgia, and an Asian American woman to be the Secretary of State of Georgia. And we are backed by the power of amazing women of color who, along with our brothers, are leading us to a 21st century labor movement. A 21st century labor movement that is going to change the world, sisters and brothers. And we are going to change the world where Lois will have a better future because of the work that we do today. So let's get together and let's do the work to make Georgia the state that Lois deserves. Thank you.